So it also reminded me of this experience and these perspective realities of us like going through things in life and dynamics with relationships and with humans and interacting all together. It reminds me just like there are 8 billion people on earth. All of us have our own unique reality and perspective and lens that we view things through. Nobody on earth can have your exact experience. There might be crossovers, there might be similarities. You might go through similar things in life that are hard, like divorce or breakups or arguments or all of these things. There's an overlap sometimes in similarity, but from my life, from 1 to 30 years old, nobody was born at the exact moment I was. Nobody had the same parents I had. Nobody went through exactly every experience and trauma that I went through. So, knowing this lens, knowing this perspective, it's truly wild to think about how everyone views you through their own perspective as well. So, I think of this story that I heard. I don't remember the source. I don't remember if it was from a book, from a mentor. I don't remember, but it's the movie theater analogy or whatever you want to say. But basically, so if I go into a movie theater and I go into the first movie and it's my life playing on the screen. It's very familiar. It's my parents, my siblings, my relationships, all of these things start playing for me. And I can see it through this lens and I understand it. I know it. I'm feeling all the emotions, through this experience. It might be my childhood to my adulthood, all of the things. So I'm very familiar with this reality that I'm seeing. Now I walk out of the movie theater and I go to the movie theater next door, and similar things start playing. It's this life that I know these people and I know like the siblings and all of the things through it, but I learned that this is my sister's perspective. So I'm seeing through her reality and through her lens. And I start seeing how she sees my parents or how she sees my other sister or all these other people. And I maybe start to feel upset or see things through a new lens, through a new light. And I'm feeling all these things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is her reality, this is her perspective. And you almost can't even argue that perspective and reality from this other person because it's who they are, it's who their experience is, what their experience is. So there really is no argument in that. It actually helps me maybe understand her a little bit more deeply or understand her experience of my parents a little bit more deeply. And yeah, it just like opens my eyes to this whole new world. Now I take a step out, I go to this next movie theater, and now it's my grandpa's movie. And now I'm seeing things through his lens, through this wisdom of like, he is like, passed down, like he's my grandpa, and then there's my parents, and then me. So now I'm seeing it through this like zoomed out perspective of him. And maybe I get upset because how I'm seeing my grandma through his lens or whatever. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is your reality. This is your experience. So now I have a deeper understanding of him. And now I can take a step out and go into the next movie theater. And this one feels really familiar as well, but I don't fully understand it. It feels very unknown. It doesn't feel as familiar. And it's my future self. It's through the lens of me in the future. I can see things. It's things that I thought I wanted or relationships I didn't know were going to end or what was going to evolve, how all these things were going to happen, it's the unknown. But I'm getting a glimpse of it and I'm just like, wow, this this is what this present moment is creating. And it really allows us to zoom out and take a higher perspective sometimes when we realize every relationship we're involved in, friendship, partnership, family dynamics, we all have our own perspectives of this reality. We all see each other individually through our own perspective. And it's just really, really beautiful and wild to know that we are all connected to this whole bigger picture within us. And we all have our own egos, we all have our own emotions, we all have our own traumas, we all have these archives within our body teaching of us of our ancestral wisdom, of our ancestral, beliefs that are passed down from hundreds of years ago. And if I could zoom out and go into this next movie theater and see past lives of myself, that would be a whole nother thing uncovering. And this truly actually is in our own psyche. We can go through our own moments of observing and seeing things from this like loving awareness that's so beyond us, because ultimately we are all connected to source, to creation. We are all created from this same place, this center point. We all come from this. So there's an infinite well of wisdom that we are all able to access and connect to. And it's so wild. I think of the book Big Magic. And if you don't think we're all connected, you should read this book, because it brings up the perspective of like when you have an idea and then someone else does the idea, like because you didn't take action on it. Like ideas are constantly jumping for whoever wants to manifest it into reality. So if you have an idea, you don't act upon it, like someone else is going to create it. I know this happens all the time when someone's like, "Oh, I have this invention or I have this creation or whatever I want to create." And we have this moment of thinking about it and then it's happening somewhere else. Like even when the light bulb was created, there was multiple people who had the same idea from all over that were creating the light bulb. Just Thomas Edison, I think that's who created it, was the first one to get recognized for it. Even with plant medicine, ayahuasca specifically, Cosmic Serpent, the book tells you about how different cultures across the Pacific and areas that are not even connected close together, they have no idea how these places could be connected and have the same wisdom. They are doing these plant medicine ceremonies in the same way, and this wisdom is coming to them too. So it's just proof that we are all so deeply connected, yet we all have this like individual micro frequency that we are carrying. We all have these micro moments that create our reality. Every small little micro moment is creating our reality. Every micro moment of my life created this moment now for me to be here. And I wouldn't change any of the tiniest micro subtleties in my life, because they bring me to here. They bring me to the present moment. They bring me to this connection to be able to share this wisdom with you. And if I didn't go through my experiences or my past like life, the last 30 years, I wouldn't know this. I wouldn't have this wisdom. I wouldn't have this understanding. I wouldn't be evolving and learning and growing constantly, because change is the only constant. It's a constant thing that's happening within us every single day. So the microcosms are what creates the macro. We are all microcosms in this existence of life on earth. We are the micro that makes up the macro. And there's so much happening beyond our comprehension. We can't, like, veils are constantly being lifted. So much unraveling and dissolving is happening in the world right now. We're going through a big planetary shift with this final purge, and the full moon is coming up soon, and so much is happening. So much is purging out. So much unraveling is happening. So, it's such a beautiful time to be alive. It's a beautiful time to really zoom out and come to this observational point of, like, wow, I've arrived. I've made it this far. I've learned so many lessons along the way, and I'm just going to continue down this path, surrendering more deeply to it, knowing that there is a divine plan that supports us so, so deeply. We are always supported by this unconditional love that just wants us to know that, like, you can feel it all the time. The energy is always here, it's always supporting us, it's always grounding us. Mother Earth has our back, and it's just so beautiful. That's all I have for you today on perspective of reality. I would love to hear from you guys. Come connect with me over on social media, on Instagram. If you would love to go deeper into a one-on-one session and learn the archives of your body and the wisdom and the ancestral emotions, ego, things, all the stuff, send me a DM on Instagram. Let's connect. Mwah! Love you all.